Tunisia is again under the spotlight amid an ongoing power struggle between the country's president and its judges. Kais Saied has granted himself sweeping powers to control the country's top judicial body, allowing him to dismiss judges at will and take away their right to fight back. In February, Saied announced his intention to scrap a key judicial watchdog, the Supreme Judicial Council, a body tasked with ensuring the independence of the country's justice system. Despite fierce and vocal opposition from Tunisian judges, the United Nations, and world powers to revert course, Saied has continued onwards with his plan to set up a new provisional Supreme Judicial Council, replacing the one he abolished with another of his choosing. The decree allows Saied to control the appointment, promotion, transfer, and removal of judges, and also forbids judges from going on strike. And contrary to international law, none of the judges appointed in the new council will be elected. So what is the fight between Kais Saied and the country's judges really about? In a late-night speech on Sunday, the president announced he was dissolving the Supreme Judicial Council. His words sparked outrage and prompted a nationwide shutdown of courts by judges.
تفاجأنا بكونه بهذا الإعلان اللي هو بالحق في هدم لمؤسسة دستورية، هدم لمؤسسة من مؤسسات الدولة، قوام النظام الديمقراطي وقوام دولة القانون.
A week later, Saied passed a decree abolishing the judicial watchdog and replacing it. In response, thousands protested in Tunis, calling for an independent judiciary. The International Court of Justice called the decree unconstitutional and illegal. It said the decree consolidates power in the hands of the president, effectively ending any semblance of judicial independence in the country. The Tunisian Association of Judges says the decree is an irreversible blow to the independence of the judiciary and is calling on judges to continue protesting Saied's move. Saied's relations with Tunisia's judiciary have been on edge since he consolidated power in July 2021. The country's Supreme Judicial Council, a body meant to remain free from political interference, was one of the last institutions in the country not under his control. It was established in 2016 after independent members were elected to the body, overseeing the appointment of judges, promotions, and disciplinary proceedings. But over the last few months, they've come under increasing scrutiny and attack from the country's president. On multiple occasions, Saied accused the council of failing to resolve high-profile cases, including the political assassination of left-wing leaders in 2013. Saied accused the council of appeasing political forces within the country, namely the Islamist-leaning factions like the former governing Ennahda party. Normally, the country's constitutional court would be the last line of defense against attacks on public institutions, stopping a president from dissolving the parliament or going after the justice system. The problem in Tunisia is it doesn't have a constitutional court. Since 2014, political factions in government have failed to agree on which 12 judges to appoint to the court. Instead, they argued over the political affiliations and biases the judges would bring. 8 years later, the country's highest judicial body, which should oversee draft laws, protect parliament, and hold the president to account, remains empty. In April 2021, Saied refused to ratify a bill that would allow the establishment of the court, saying parliament had left it 5 years too late. Then 3 months later, he dissolved the parliament. Today, it's become more clear than ever to human rights observers why the Constitutional Court was essential for protecting Tunisia's nascent democracy.
The institutional checks designed to keep Tunisia from reverting to the authoritarian rule it endured from independence in 1956 until the Arab Spring in 2011 are not in place.
Instead, Saied has been left ruling the country by decree for months, bypassing the powers given to him in the constitution. After dismantling the government and parliament, he then began to go after the last independent institution in the country, the judiciary.
القضايا المنشورة من 2013 على الأقل لم ينظر فيها القضاء. هذا فضلا عن قضايا أخرى نظر فيها القضاء. القضية ليست مع القضاة ولا مع القضاء، القضية مع قضاء مستقل.
In December, the Tunisian Association of Judges raised the alarm, saying the president's ongoing campaign against the judiciary was turning the public against them. Since July, cases accusing judges of wrongdoing have emerged, leading to some being placed under house arrest. Among them is Bashir Akremi, former general prosecutor of the Tunis Court of First Instance. Akremi was accused of deliberately concealing important files regarding the assassination of Tunisian leftist leaders Shukri Bilaid and Mohamed Brahmi. He was also accused of being heavily influenced by a Nahda party. A few months later, Akremi's case was dropped on appeal over technicalities. Saied was not happy.
للأسف تم التلاعب بهذا الملف من قبل عدد من القضاة. وليست هذه القضية الأولى التي يحاولون طمس معالمها والإبقاء عليها لمدة سنوات طويلة.
Judge Akremi's case has become emblematic of the clash of power between Saied and the judiciary. Opposition groups warned Saied was trying to use the high-profile cases of political assassinations as a guise to expand his powers and crush his opponents. Others welcomed his stance.
هي معركة للدفاع على ما تبقى من الديمقراطية التونسية وعلى ما تبقى من مؤسسات الدولة وفكرة دولة القانون والمؤسسات، وهي حركة احتجاجية ضد محاولته فرض فكرة دولة الأمر الواقع، دولة اللا قانون، والتي تجسدت بغلقه لمقر المجلس الأعلى للقضاء بمجرد إجراء أمني.
In a joint statement, Western ambassadors in Tunisia expressed concern about Saied's announcement to unilaterally dissolve the Supreme Judicial Council.
A transparent, independent, and efficient judiciary and the separation of powers are essential for a functioning democracy that serves its people on the basis of rule of law and fundamental rights and freedoms.
Saied promises that any move against the Supreme Judicial Council will be temporary. But not everyone is convinced, and opposition against Kais Saied is mobilizing, both at home and abroad. Judges' associations, civil society groups, opposition parties, rights groups, Western donors, and UN agencies have all criticized his move, warning it undermines the last vestiges of official accountability for Saied.
Of Tunisia to restore the High Judicial Council.
All this at a time when Tunisia is facing a growing financial crisis.
Est en train de décider d'arrêter le déboursement des tranches de l'aide macrofinancière qui était prévue.
And international donors like the IMF are urging Saied to change course, but the Tunisian president shows no signs of doing so.
بعض العواصم وبعض المنظمات أبدت أو ساورها القلق على حل المجلس الأعلى للقضاء، وأتساءل لماذا لم يساورها نفس هذا القلق لعدم تحقيق العدالة في الدولة التونسية.
He is fighting battles on multiple fronts and growing more and more isolated as the country's democratic crisis continues.